What up, what up, what up? It's the Funk Dr. Spock, and we back with another episode of CT Baseball Live. I'm here with my main man, Coach Emmett from Milestones Baseball Analytics. Coach, what up, though?
What up with you, Coach? We got some we had an action packed weekend.
Yes, we did. Pretty cool weekend still, too. It's just pure Michigan weather, but we continue to make it do what it do.
Yeah, Mother Nature don't want to let this chokehold go off this cold weather.
Wow. And there's been some frosty ones.
Yeah, normally around this time we warming up, we turning the corner, we unthawing and getting some 70 degree games in, but they trying to keep us in the 30s and 40s with snow flurries.
Yeah, I'm starting to see a few plants blooming, so hopefully Mother Nature will be a little more merciful on us, and maybe we'll get some prettier days to play in.
Well, it's gonna be well. With your wish is coming right around the corner. Tomorrow is supposed to be 70 something and sunny, but on Tuesday it's supposed to rain. So we practice tomorrow, but then we play on Tuesday.
Wow, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, hopefully be able to get that one in. The rain don't look too bad, so hopefully we'll be able to get it in.
Absolutely. So we're gonna start this episode off, and we have another Blue Division matchup against the Renaissance Varsity Phoenix. Jelani Jabari a difficult out as the Cass Tech Varsity Technicians defeat Renaissance Varsity Phoenix 10-0 on Wednesday. Jelani Jabari doubled in the first inning, singled in the second inning, singled in the third inning, and singled in the fifth inning. Emmett Mitchell II struck out 10 batters on the day. The pitcher also surrendered 0 hits and 0 runs over 4 innings while walking 2. The Cass Tech Varsity Technicians were the first to get on board in the first when Jabari doubled, scoring 1 run. The Technicians scored 8 runs on 3 hits in the top of the second inning. Jabari single scoring 1 run, an error scored 2 runs, and an error scored 1 run. Mitchell II hit a sacrifice fly scoring 1 run. An error scored 2 runs, and Zion Finley drew a walk scoring 1 run. Blake Betts took the loss for the Renaissance Varsity Phoenix. The starting pitcher went 1 1/3 innings, giving up 7 runs for earned on 5 hits, striking out none and walking 3. Braylon Fields pitched 1 inning of scoreless ball for the Cass Tech Varsity Technicians in the relief. The hurler allowed 0 hits, striking out 2 and walking none. The Technicians amassed 9 hits in the game. Juan Torres and Jabari were tough to handle back to back in the lineup as each drove in 2 runs for the Cass Tech Varsity Technicians. Finley, Chris Hooper, Jabari, and Jaden Friday each stole multiple bases for the Technicians. Cass Tech Varsity Technicians ran wild on the base paths, accumulating 11 stolen bases for the game. The Cass Tech Varsity Technicians were sure-handed and didn't commit one single error. Finley made the most plays with 12.
So it wasn't much to talk about in this game because, quite frankly, when Renaissance doesn't have their best player in the lineup, Avery Miles, they're a different team. And he didn't play in this second game. We when we had our last podcast, the 6-0 game was still open and it hadn't concluded. Renaissance made a decision not to move forward and finish that game. And so we got directly started with the second game, which we beat them 10-0. We had 9 hits. Jelani Jabari had 4 of those hits. We scored 10 runs. We drove in 6. We drew 5 walks. I'm okay with the offense. The offense was fine. We had a couple of guys. We in this game was kind of funky because the kid that they had on the mound, he throws a heavy ball. So we weren't hitting the ball that well. We weren't dominating. We had one hitter, we had one player have four of our hits. The rest of our hits were scattered. Everybody else either took a walk or had a sacrifice or they recorded an out. And in a 10-0 ball game against an opponent that we should beat, especially without their best player, we didn't really hit the base, put the baseball in play as hard as I would have liked to. But that's baseball sometimes. Sometimes it just doesn't click. But that kid Blake Betts, we faced him last year and we didn't hit him well last year. He throws a heavy baseball. He's normally around the plate. He's still his mechanics are not clean. He has some things to work on, but he has really good arm talent. He has good arm talent, and if somebody was to get with him, they could really develop him and make him a really good pitcher. With that being said, 2 years in a row, we weren't able to really aggressively attack him like we normally do. Normally, most pitchers, when they're on the average to below average side, we normally destroy that type of pitching. But again, we really didn't do that. 10-0, we'll take it. But again, we had one guy have four of our hits, four of our 10 hits. On the defensive side, there weren't a lot of balls put in play, so the defense didn't have much work to do. Emmett Mitchell II had 10 strikeouts, no hits, no runs, no earned runs. He had 2 walks. So he faced this team twice and had a total of 19 strikeouts in 2 games. Didn't give up any hits. Again, they weren't at their strongest. But what I'd like to look at is the fact that out of the 63 pitches he threw 38 strikes. So when you're throwing 60% strikes, that lets me know that you're around the plate, that you are commanding your pitches, and that you are in complete control of your fastball. That's what I'm looking at. And we need him to be in command of all of his pitches down the stretch, because we have a lot of work to do and we have high expectations for this team, and he is going to have to contribute on the mound. What else did we see? We only had one multiple hit guy in this game, and that was Jelani. Kumasi went 1 for 2. We had Raymond Curry come off the bench to get a base hit. Chris Hoop drove in a run, got a walk, scored a run, got a base hit. Jaden Friday scored a run and had a couple of walks. Emmett Mitchell II drove in a run, and then we had a couple of base hits at the bottom of the lineup, which that's another aspect of it that we can discuss. We had Braylon Griffin with a base hit and Zion with a base hit in that game, and they both scored runs. The reason why that's important is because the bottom of the lineup has been consistently surprising teams, driving in runs, getting on base, and they have just been difficult to account for. They have been very difficult to account for. And so Braylon has been a very pleasant surprise, and Zion in the 9 spot. I always say he's the best number 9 hitter in the state. And he could bat anywhere in anybody else's lineup on a lot of teams, but he bats 9th for us. And so if they are consistently giving us base hits down at the bottom of that lineup and consistently scoring runs, it's going to be tough to beat us, because the top of our lineup, our first 6, they get busy.
Those 2 guys have been really, really clutch for us. And anytime that they can put the ball into play and make things happen, it makes us a different team.
Yep.
So, from top to bottom, when this team is hitting, it can be a real difficult out. And they're a good hitting team with 2 outs when they got it going.
Absolutely. And then I don't want to forget that Braylon Fields came in 1 inning of relief and struck out 2. But again, it's not necessarily about the opponent. It's about pitch location for me. He threw 8 strikes out of the 12 pitches he threw. That's 75% strike percentage. That's when you throw strikes like that, you're gonna help your team win. And Braylon Fields has been another pleasant surprise for us this season, throwing a lot of strikes. And I don't care about his opponent. I don't care about who he matches up against. I care about the fact that he's throwing strikes. And he's done that for us all season. And I think that is going to net him some more opportunities down the stretch.
Absolutely. He is making it his business to get the job done.
Yeah.
And he's getting more opportunities to do that. And that's going to get him more experience. And that's going to help us down the stretch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that we played that game on Wednesday, turned around, had a practice day. Then on Friday we had another matchup with our crosstown rival, Western International Varsity Cowboys. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to you and let you get us that recap.
Well, it was a lot of emphasis on this game. One, because this was a game for first place in the Blue Division,
Mm-hmm.
as well as determining the seeding for the playoffs, as well as the championship.
And also the amount of all city selections that each team will receive.
Correct. Strong hitting not enough as the Cass Tech Varsity Technicians fall to the Western International Varsity Cowboys 4-2. Juan Torres, Emmett Mitchell II, Kyrie Kamasi, Jelani Jabari, and Braylon Griffin each collected one hit for the Cass Tech Varsity Technicians. The Cass Tech Varsity Technicians got on the board in the top of the first inning after Mitchell II singled down the right field line, and Cass Tech Varsity Technicians scored on a pass ball, scoring one run. Western International Cowboys took the lead in the bottom of the fifth inning after Damian Ybarra hit a sacrifice fly. Lopez walked. Cass Tech Varsity Technicians committed an error, and Garcia singled down the left field line, each scoring one run. Johnny Salazar earned the win for the Western International Varsity Cowboys. The pitcher gave up 5 hits and 2 runs, 1 earned over 6 innings, striking out 7 and walking 2. Jaden Friday took the loss for the Cass Tech Varsity Technicians. The reliever went 2 innings, giving up 4 runs, 1 earned on 2 hits, striking out 2 and walking 2. Kamasi started the game for the Cass Tech Varsity Technicians. The pitcher surrendered 1 hit and 0 runs over 4 innings, striking out 4 and walking 5. Damian Ybarra earned the save. Mitchell II led the Cass Tech Varsity Technicians with 1 run batted in. The shortstop went 1 for 3 on the day. Jabari stole 2 bases. The Technicians ran wild on the base path, accumulating 5 stolen bases for the game. The Technicians turned 1 double play in the game. Ybarra and Garcia each drove in 1 run for the Western International Varsity Cowboys. Johan Villarreal led the Western International Varsity Cowboys with 2 hits and 3 at-bats. Castillo paced Western International Varsity Cowboys with 2 walks overall. The team had patience at the plate, piling up 7 walks for the game.
So I want to talk. So we played Western twice. I want to peel back the layers in this game. Kumasi pitched a good game. And it's not necessarily about the walks per se. We had gave him 7 walks. It's about who we walk. So I'm going to lay this out as clearly and succinctly as possible. Zuniga, Lopez, Rojas, Garcia, and Martin are struggling offensively against us through 2 games. They have not been able to hit on base. But between Rojas and Lopez, they have a total of 6 walks in the 2 games in which we have played them, and they have no hits. As a matter of fact, the 1, 2, and 3 hitters on this team have the majority of the hits, with the exception of Garcia had 1 hit in that game. And so why am I saying that? If we avoid walking the 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters 6, 7, 8, 9. If we avoid walking them, we're going to be tough to beat. I'm going to say it that way. The 6, 7, 8, 9 hitter must hit their way on base when we play them, when we match up against them for the third matchup. We cannot give them free passes. They have found it. They are they're I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but they're somewhere like 1 for 13 in the two games total. 6, 7, 8, 9. 1 for 13. They are not hitting their way on base. They are walking their way on base. We have to challenge those hitters to hit. The 1, 2, and 3 hitters, they are decent hitters. We have to challenge them as well. But that bottom of the lineup, if we keep them off base, there is nobody to drive in for the top if you flip the lineup. There's nobody on base to drive in. So there's no runs to drive in. And that's where I think our focus needs to be, to minimize the base on balls and to eliminate walking the 6, 7, 8, 9 hitter. We have to make them beat us by putting the ball in play. That is the long and the short of the matchup for the rest of the season. Now, within this particular game, we had 5 base hits, they had 3. We are showing that we are capable of keeping their base running traffic at bay if we don't give up any walks. Koumassi pitched a good game. 5 walks over the course of five or 6 innings. How many innings did he throw? He threw 4. That's not that bad. It's just about who we're walking. If we can scatter those walks out and not concentrate them down at the bottom of their lineup, I think it puts us in an advantageous position moving forward. Friday came in, and in his 2 innings, he had 2 walks. And again, we want to stay away from walking those guys at the bottom of the lineup. Even from 5 on down, we want to stay away from walking those guys. We want to make them guys hit their way on. We were controlling that game 2-0. These games are going to be low scoring. We know each other very well. These are going to be low scoring games for the most part. So a 2-0 lead, that's a solid lead because it's difficult. Runs come at a premium. And we were cruising with that 2-0 lead for the majority of the game until we had a couple of defensive mishaps. A double play that wasn't turned that would have gotten us out of the inning scoreless, and then a dropped infield pop-up that scored an additional run. So 7 walks, 2 costly errors at the wrong time led to a 4-2 loss. Now, we still only have 5 hits, but again, runs are going to come at a premium in these matchups, and they always have. These have always been typically low-scoring games. And with these games being low-scoring and a lot of players not hitting their way on, we have to limit the errors and the mistakes. And you said that when we were off camera. The team that makes the least amount of mistakes win. And they made a couple of mistakes, but they didn't make any mistakes late. I always say in the 6th and 7th inning, you got to be lights out on the defense. On the defensive side, in the 6th and 7th inning, you got to be lights out. That's how you close teams out. And so they ended up winning the baseball game. They earned it. They brought in Damian Ybarra to close out the game in the top of the 7th. He came in and struck out the side and closed the door. I was happy that we were able to knock Johnny Salazar out of the game because I wanted to see Damian. I wanted them to see Damian. I wanted the new guys to see Damian. I wanted them to see him up close. We expect to see him, if not at Comerica, in the districts. And so it's better to see him now than to see him for the first time later. So it was a lot of positives I took from this game. I'm going to turn it over to you, Coach.
The biggest thing with this is, and it's like I said before, the team that makes the least amount of mistakes is probably going to win this ball game. I saw that when the ball was put into play, hard ground balls, they wasn't coming up with them. And, they played a very good chess match.
Hmm.
And once they got the lead, Coach Sanchez made the right moves and he brought in his ace and shut it down and got the victory. Um, Again, a lot of these matchups are going to be small ball matchups. They're going to be chess games. And in certain situations, um, I felt like we had the game under control. And if we come up with the routine play, it cuts down on their opportunities to do something. I think we shifted the momentum when that happened by not making a routine out in a timely manner. So, I saw a lot of things, and it's going to be an interesting next two matchups in this series.
So Garcia, Zuninga, Lopez, Rojas, and Martinez are combined 2 for 22 in the two games that they played against Cass Tech. I'm going to repeat that. Garcia, Zuninga, Lopez, Rojas, Martinez are combined 2 for 22 in those two games. But this is how many walks they have. You have Lopez with 3. You have 1, 2, 5, 8. They have a combined 8 walks. So that puts them on base 10 times out of 30 plate appearances when they've only gotten 2 hits. They are 2 for 22. The bottom line is we cannot walk Garcia, Zuninga, Lopez, Rojas, Martinez. That is the bottom of their lineup. They cannot get free passes. If we can control the free passes at the bottom, we can limit their ability to score that extra run that either keeps the game close or puts them ahead. We know that these games generally are tight. And so we have to keep the bottom off the base path. And I think that that's the key to winning these matchups.
Absolutely. So now we're at Saturday, May 2nd, and we have hitter against Pioneers.
Yeah.
Cass
And
Tech Varsity Technicians.
go ahead, coach.
Go ahead. All right, the Cass Tech Varsity Technicians defeat Dearborn Varsity Pioneers on back of clutch display from Emmett Mitchell II. Emmett Mitchell II drove in 6 runs on 4 hits to lead the Cass Tech Varsity Technicians past the Dearborn Varsity Pioneers 26-7 on Saturday. Mitchell II singled in the third inning, scoring 2, singled in the second, scoring 1, hit a sacrifice fly in the fourth, scoring 1, and hit a solo home run to left field in the sixth, scoring 1. The technician scored 14 runs in the sixth inning on way to victory. Mitchell II hit a solo home run to left field. A drop third strike scored 1 run. Kyrie Kumasi single scoring 2 runs. Jelani Jabari double scoring 1 run. Chris Hooper single scoring 1 run. Jaden Friday double scoring 2 runs. Mitchell II double scoring 1 run. Raymond Curry Jr. double scoring 1 run. A drop third strike scored 1 run. Kumasi grounded out scoring 1 run. Jabari double scoring 1 run. And a pass ball scored 1 run. Technicians opened the the scoring in the top of the second thanks to two singles. The technicians first got on board when Mitchell II single scoring 1 run. The technician scored 8 runs on 6 hits in the top of the third inning. Jabari single scoring 1 run, Juan Torres single scoring 1 run. Error scored 1 run, and Mitchell II single scoring 2 runs. Error scored 1 run, and Kumasi triple scoring 2 runs. Torres earned the win for the Cass Tech varsity technicians. The starter surrendered 5 hits and 5 runs, 4 earned over 4 2/3 innings, striking out 8 and walking 5. Christian Lamb took the loss for the Dearborn Varsity Pioneers. The right-handed pitcher went 3 innings, giving up 10 runs, 6 earned on 9 hits, striking out 1 and walking 1. Braylon Fields appeared in relief for the Cass Tech Varsity Technicians. The Cass Tech Varsity Technicians tallied 21 hits in the game. Mitchell II and Jabari each collected 4 hits for the Cass Tech Varsity Technicians. Kamasi, Noah Mitchell, Hooper, and Friday each collected multiple hits for the Cass Tech Varsity Technicians. Jordan Scott paced Cass Tech Varsity Technicians with 2 walks. Overall, the team had patience at the plate, piling up 6 walks for the game. Mitchell II, Hooper, Scott, Jabari, and Friday each stole multiple bases for the Cass Tech Varsity Technicians. The Technicians went wild on the base path, tallying 15 stolen bases for the game.
Wow, that was a lot.
Yes. Take a
So
breath.
exactly. So before we get started, Dearborn have been giving us problems the last couple of years. And
Yes.
so while this team is not as strong as teams in years past, it was important that we come in here and get 2 wins for our own personal brand. And so the matchup, the matchup wasn't as tight as it normally has been in years past. And we did what we were supposed to do against a lesser opponent. They did have 2 guys that on the mound, the first 2 pitchers, Lamb, number 13, he had decent stuff and he threw a lot of strikes. And then Basie, he had decent stuff, the lefty, and he had a really good curveball. He was backdooring a lot of guys. But our team normally is going to hit. This game is less about when we play lesser opponents. I always like to focus on the things that we are supposed to be doing. We hadn't been, we had been having an issue with driving runs in with less than 2 outs from third base. We'd had that issue for a few games. And beginning back in that Western game, early in the game, we found a way to manufacture, score, and drive in a run. And the middle of that lineup has begun to drive in the top. Generally, our 1, 2, and 3 hitters are somebody's on base. Somebody is going to be on base. And so 4, 5, 6, it's their job to drive 1, 2, 3 in. And they've been doing an okay job with that, but they are so good that we expect more. And now they are starting to get that feel for meeting that expectation of driving runs in with less than 2 outs. Those runs have to be driven in. And no matter how you do it can be a ground ball to second, it can be a ground ball to first, it can be a fly out, it can be a sacrifice fly. Mitchell II had a huge game, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But one of the at-bats that I like the most is he got down 0-2 with a runner on third, and he got off balance on a curveball. He flies out to right center field. He did everything he could do to put that ball in play and not strike out. That is the type of selfless play, having a 2-strike approach and doing everything in your power to put the ball in play that wins baseball games. And when you practice those things, even against a lesser opponent, they spill over to the more important games. And so those are the types of actions and those are the types of things that I was happy with in this game. There was a lot of hits piled up in this game. Oh, man, where do we start? We got Kumasi with 3 hits, driving in 5 runs. Jelani Jabari, 4 hits, driving in 3 runs. Hooper had 2 hits. Friday had 2 hits. Emmett Mitchell II had 4 hits with 6 runs driven in, scoring 4 runs, and he did hit a solo home run that I ended up going to retrieve that ball, and it was on the golf course. That's 2 on the year for him, and he's seeing the ball real well. And again, these are the things you are supposed to do against average pitching. You're gonna have your fights when those guys are throwing 87, 88, 89. But when the guys are around 78 to 82, you're supposed to dominate that. And that's how you teach yourself how to become a hitter. You have to know who you are. You have to know what you can do and who you can do it against. And he's starting to learn how to pick out his pitch and not miss it. Very important as you continue to develop as a hitter. Um, it was hits scattered all over the place. We had reserves come in, get hits. Raymond Curry came in and got a hit. Um, we had Noah Mitchell come in and get 2 hits and score 3 runs. So he came in a reserve role and got a couple of hits. So there were hits. It was hits passed around all over the place. We drove in 23 runs, and we only had 6 walks. So that means that we were putting the ball in play. We were putting the ball in play. Juan Torres told the rubber for us. He had 8 punch outs. His walks were up compared to his normal walk totals. He's normally around 2 per 5 innings, and he gave up 5 walks. He wasn't on, but he was on enough to keep them at bay. So we need to make sure that he's in a rhythm. He's one of our big time guys on the mound. So we want to make sure we keep him in a good rhythm. It was pretty cold early, but ultimately he settled down and he was able to get him 8 strikeouts on the day. Braylon again came in and did his job throwing strikes. Out of the 19 pitches he threw, again, Braylon Fields threw 15 strikes. And so it's not about the opponent, it's about what we do. So that's all I got for you on that game. We had 3, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 stolen bases. Good game, good offensive game, good game to build up the confidence. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 extra base hits. So 6 walks, we were putting the ball in play a lot. That's good for the team's morale and the team's confidence. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Coach.
All right. Big second inning leads Cass Tech Varsity Technicians past the Dearborn Varsity Pioneers. The Cass Tech Varsity Technicians defeated the Dearborn Varsity Pioneers 15-0 on Saturday at Dearborn High School, thanks in part to 8 runs in the second inning. Emmett Mitchell II single scoring 2 runs, an error scored 2 runs, Kyrie Kumasi single scoring 1 run, an error scored 2 runs, and Chris Hooper single scoring 1 run. The Technicians jumped out to the lead in the bottom of the first inning after Juan Torres was struck by a pitch driving in a run. Jaden Friday single scoring 2 runs, Jordan Scott single scoring 1 run, Jaden Mobley hit a sacrifice fly scoring 1 run, and Braylon Griffin doubled scoring 1 run. The Technicians added 1 run in the third when Griffin singled to center field, making the score 15-0. Chris Hooper earned the win for the Cass Tech Varsity Technicians. The starting pitcher surrendered 0 hits and 0 runs over 3 innings, striking out 5 and walking 1. Derek Mincy took the loss for the Dearborn Varsity Pioneers. The starting pitcher went 2 innings, giving up 14 runs, 9 earned on 9 hits, striking out none and walking 5. The Technicians amassed 11 hits in the game. Griffin, the number 9 hitter for the Cass Tech Varsity Technicians, led the way with 4 runs batted in. The catcher went 2 for 3 on the day. Kumasi, Hooper, Scott, and Griffin each collected 2 hits for the Cass Tech Varsity Technicians. Jelani Jabari paced Cass Tech Varsity Technicians with 2 walks, Overall, the team had patience at the plate, tallying 6 walks for the game. Mitchell II and Scott each stole multiple bases for the Cass Tech Varsity Technicians. The Cass Tech Varsity Technicians ran wild on the base paths, piling up 10 stolen bases for the game. The Technicians were sure-handed in the field and didn't commit a single error. Griffin had the most chances in the field with 5.
So the first two players I want to highlight in this game, in a 15-0 game, we got out of there in 3 innings as we were supposed to. They were depleted. Their pitching was depleted on the Dearborn side, and so we beat up on their guys. I want to highlight Chris Hooper because he almost threw a perfect 3 innings. He only walked 1. He had 5 punch outs, but I was behind the backstop, and his curveball was at its best on Saturday, better than it had been all season. The depth was there. He was spinning it. It had late bite, and it was dropping out of the zone. This was his best pitching performance of the season, and I would have liked for him to have thrown more strikes, 22 out of 38. That's not bad. That's not bad. But I know that he was trying to hit his spots as well. But the curveball looked magnificent. And so he pitched a three inning shutout, 5 punch outs. So tip my cap to him. He only faced 10 hitters. He almost faced a minimum. He almost faced a minimum of 9, but he walked 1. So I wanted to highlight Chris Hooper, and I wanted to highlight Braylon Griffin. He just continues to hit at the bottom of the lineup. He continues to bang the ball to right field, stay inside the baseball, not try to do too much, and just collect base hits. He just keeps collecting base hits. He drove in 4 runs. He has become very reliable. It is almost automatic when he gets in the box that he's going to put the ball in play. He may not get a base hit all the time, but he almost always puts the ball in play. And so I wanted to highlight Braylon Griffin in this particular game, not because of this game. He's been doing this all season. He's batting somewhere around 340 on the season, which just came out of nowhere. Pleasant surprise. I've been knowing him, coaching him since he was about 9 or 10 years old. He always hits, but this is what he's doing right now is just very, very impressive. So what else we got going on here? Chris Hooper had a couple of hits, multi-hit game. Jordan Scott and Jaden Mobley both had a couple of hits and an RBI. Well, Mobley had 1 hit and 1 driven in. Scott had 2 hits and 1 driven in. We need to get them going. It was good that they were able to see the ball, do some things. I want to say that I thought Jaden's hit was a double. Maybe somebody was in front of him, but he put a good barrel on that one to left field. Scott got a couple of hits. We need him off to Schneid, and so they're working their way back, which is a good thing. And then Emmett Mitchell II drove in another 2 runs. So he had 8 RBIs on the day. And he is moving into that place where his confidence is growing. And, for me, training him, raising him, of course, he's my son. When you put his entire game together, personally, he's only 15 years old. I think he's one of the best 15-year-olds in the country, period. He's a 2027, so it puts him at a disadvantage in comparison to other players because most 2027s are 17 and a half years old, and he's a 15-year-old player. But he's better than most 2027s as well, if we're just being honest. Not just statistically, but with the eye test, the size test, the speed test, and the strength test as well. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he's one of the best 15-year-old baseball players in the country. And he's showing it week in and week out against the good competition, the average competition, the bad competition. He'll match up well with anybody. And it's been exciting to watch him grow this season. And it's going to be exciting to continue to watch him down the stretch. Jaden Friday drove in a couple of runs in this game. And he has been a good addition for us. Sometimes he just pops up and drives in a couple of runs right when we need it. He has an electric bat. He goes for it all the time. That's not always a good thing, but when he connects, he hits the ball really, really hard. So Kumasi had a couple of hits. He's always hitting. We call him Cap. And other than that, I don't think it's too much else, Coach, that I don't think it's too much else we can pull from this game. And it was a 15-0 bludgeon. And Dearborn Dearborn wasn't up for the task, and we just did what we were supposed to do. When is our next game? Our next game is against the King Crusaders. That'll be our first matchup with them on Tuesday, May 5th. And so we're going to see how the coaches want to put those personnel groupings together to see how they want to continue to make sure our players stay involved and stay motivated and stay active against competition that we normally should beat.
Absolutely. Braylon Griffin has been lights out for us. He continues to be a plug and play piece for us. He can spray to all fields. He can play multiple positions, and he's very key to this lineup because he can be put in it in so many different ways.
Yeah.
When the bottom part of that lineup is hitting, again, Cass Tech is a dangerous out. And big shots out to him. Also, Jaden Mobley. And the rest of the bottom part of the lineup, your Jordan Scotts and those guys, because they've been coming up really big for us defensively as well. And looking forward to see what they do down the stretch for this team because each piece is very important.
Yeah, we have a 17-man roster. I'm going to send a shout out to the coaching staff, Cass Tech coaching staff, because we have a 17-man roster where we have some junior varsity players that oscillate up and down, and the coaching staff has been doing a really good job of keeping everybody involved in these games, keeping them motivated, keeping everybody active, giving the younger players an opportunity when those opportunities arise, because we know that sometime in the future, whether it's later in the season or next season, that we will need those players to be developed to step up. So coaching staff has been doing a really good job of giving players an opportunity to grow in the game and learn the game while playing it, teaching them, learning through failure, learning through success, et cetera, et cetera. So shout out to the Cass Tech coaching staff.
Absolutely. Also, we have a game Wednesday, May 6th, which is senior night against the Taylor Varsity Griffins.
I forgot about that. Yeah, Taylor played us tough last year. They jumped out and scored about 5 runs in the first inning. We ended up having to walk them down in a football game last year. I haven't followed Taylor's team this year. I do know that they are maybe like 4-10. They haven't won a lot of baseball games, and they don't play in a strong league. But baseball games are played on the field. Sometimes records are thrown out. We have to come out and play Cass Tech baseball to make sure we don't give away any baseball games, any games that we're supposed to win. Senior Day is going to be fun. Last year, Senior Day was really exciting. I'm excited to see what the parents do for their seniors, and it's always a good time. Hopefully the weather holds up. I think it's supposed to be nice on Wednesday. I think it's supposed to be nice, good weather. And if the weather is good, we're going to have a good time, win a baseball game, and enjoy sending our seniors off this year. The season has went by really quick, Coach.
It's been a blur. It's been a blur. Taylor has always been, a program that keeps quality athletes. They are in that Downriver League with Allen Park, Southgate Anderson, Lincoln Park, Melvindale. So, it is a competitive league that they come from. So it's going to be
Oh,
real.
they're in that league.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I didn't realize that they were in the league. So that's where they've been getting beat up on a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
Southgate
Yeah.
Anderson.
They would get beat up a lot.
Yeah, yeah, and so their record may not be indicative of what they may put out on the field on any given weekend or any given game. Sorry about that.
So looking at this, Coach, we have games Tuesday the 5th, Wednesday the 6th, Thursday the 7th, Friday the 8th. And it's two Blue Division matchups against the King Crusaders. And then we have two Downriver matchups, which is Wednesday the 6th, which is senior night against the Taylor High Varsity Griffins. And Thursday, we have a matchup with the Melvindale Varsity Cardinals.
Absolutely. That Melvindale game, we beat them 11-6 the first time we played them. They did jump out 3-0. We know their players. We know each other very well. We play against them in the fall. And you can't take them lightly. We have to come out and play Cass Tech baseball against Melvindale at their place. It's newly renovated, so their field is ready. That's gonna be an electric environment. Their fans travel well,
Absolutely.
and so we're gonna have to go in there and go to handle our business.
Yes. And once we get through with this week's action, we should be getting ready next week for the PSL playoffs.
Absolutely. Which is the semifinals is on Monday, May 11th, and then the championship game at Comerica Park for the two teams that make it will be on Wednesday, May 13th at Comerica Park.
Right. So the Blue Division playoffs will be played at Wayne State, and the Gold Division playoffs will be played at Hamtramck.
Okay. And then the Blue Division championship game will be played at 4:30 Comerica, and then normally our game is at 7:30.
Yeah, so the Gold Division game will be the first one, and then the Blue Division game will be the second game. Yeah,
Absolutely. For the life of me, I cannot understand how a lot of our players, inner city baseball players, don't choose Cass Tech or Western, knowing that perennially these teams play at Comerica Park. How great is it to go play at a professional baseball stadium for 4 years during your 4-year career as a high school player?
absolutely, man. That also gives a lot of respect to the Blue Division and the talent that comes through it, and the consistency and the pride that they put in on getting to that game.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also the Osborne Knights and AOA, who have played in that first championship game at Comerica that precedes the main event for if there's 2 or 3 seasons running.
Absolutely, that's been a real strong
Yeah,
rivalry.
I know for sure it's been 2 years back to back years. Southeastern may have something to say about that this year, but we will see. And our that's the same division that our junior varsity plays in, and we know if our junior varsity had the opportunity, which they don't, to play in that championship game, they would definitely have something to say about it. But,
Absolutely.
but we can't have it all. We're one of the few teams in public school baseball with a junior varsity, so we have to take what we can get.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Coach, that's going to wrap it up. Looking forward to this week's action. We'll be getting back with you all within the next week with next week's recaps. We want to thank everybody for showing up and showing out. And we just want to say, have an abundantly blessed evening. Peace.
All right, peace, peace, peace. Let's go, CT.